He has set up a hidden camera in his kitchen after food kept going missing. At first, he wasn't sure what was happening. He initially thought his girlfriend was the one eating everything, but just to make sure, he sat down and watched the video carefully. Then, he got the heebie-jeebies when he saw who was stealing his food. Spoiler alert, his girlfriend didn't do it. Joe Cummings was living in his Manhattan apartment for a while now, but the actor couldn't wait to get out of there after something startling happened. He didn't really notice it at first, but then he realized his food was vanishing. So he restocked his fridge and pantry. Then, everything disappeared. He knew he didn't eat it all, so it had to be someone else. Naturally, all suspicions fell on her. Cummings and his girlfriend were in a happy relationship, and they were residing in one of the coolest cities in the world, the Big Apple. So they pretty much had it all, except for food. One night, while he was in bed, he heard the door squeaking, and it was followed by a series of footsteps heading to the kitchen. When he went to check, his food was once again missing. At this point, he was simply fed up with the situation. He accused his girlfriend of stealing, which obviously didn't sit well with her. Things between them got rough after that. After all, she continued to deny she was taking all of their food, and yet, no one else could have done it. But he needed to make sure, so he came up with a clever way to catch her doing it. This would prove that he was right all along. But he had no idea that the situation was a whole lot worse than he could have imagined until he saw the footage. Cummings' relationship was on the line, so he had to uncover the truth right away. He decided to do this by setting up a camera at a specific angle. This would ensure that there would be footage of the kitchen and the living area. Of course, he didn't tell a soul. Even his girlfriend was kept out of the loop, because he suspected it was her munching on his food. But a part of him knew this didn't make any sense. What did she have to gain from doing this? But Cummings was unprepared for the shocking reveal. The trap was set. He even added a night vision lens to his camera so he could catch his girlfriend in the act. He was finally ready for the truth. So, in the footage, he was seen walking away from the camera's line of sight. The kitchen was completely empty, but a couple of hours later, all that changed. That's when he realized that monsters really do go bump in the night. The door to the upper-level kitchen closet opened, and a woman climbed down from it. He was excited. He had caught his girlfriend trying to take his food. But why had she kept it a secret from him? Was she messing with him? He kept watching the footage. Then he saw something that truly horrified him. Cummings watched as the woman crawled out and landed on a table. Then she grabbed a booth and used it so she could get down safely. It seemed obvious she had done this many times before. But then, the camera caught a glimpse of the woman's face, and it suddenly dawned on Cummings. Whoever this woman was, it wasn't his girlfriend. Cummings was petrified, but his heart continued to beat harder inside his chest. How did she get in here? He couldn't keep his eyes off the footage as the stranger roamed around his kitchen. She went into his fridge and drank right out of the juice carton. But it gets a whole lot worse. After she drank, she went number 1 on the kitchen floor. Then, she headed for the pantry and started raiding it for food she could eat. Cummings couldn't believe it. Who was she? The woman was helping herself to his food behind his back. Now it was clear how his food kept vanishing into thin air. She was fearless, too. She even sat down on his couch while she munched on some of the pantry snacks she stole. But she was startled by the floorboards. She creaked when Cummings came downstairs to get a glass of water from the kitchen. She hightailed it to a nearby hiding spot and stayed there until he left. But she didn't stop there. She drank and snacked some more before eventually heading back to her hiding spot. Meanwhile, Cummings watched the footage, which showed him getting ready to go for a run the next morning. But first, he opened the fridge and drank from the same carton that woman had used hours earlier. At that point, he had no idea he wasn't alone. After the footage ended, he just sat there in a state of disbelief. He had been right all along. There was someone taking his food. It just wasn't who he thought it was. So, I kept on finding food missing in my apartment that I knew I wasn't eating. I confronted my girlfriend who lives with me about it, and she claims she wasn't eating it, Joe Cummings said on his YouTube video. Cummings had to call the cops right away. He never thought he could be as scared as he felt after watching the footage, but he fought the paralyzing fear long enough to run out the door. After taking a few breaths, he managed to compose himself. Then, he called the police, who told him something that really shook him to the core. Cops found she had been hiding there for more than 2 weeks, but now she was in handcuffs. I have no idea how she got in there. The video went viral as soon as he published it. Despite some skepticism, a lot of people have checked every nook and cranny in their home, just in case.